he has no idea who the callers are. I'm looking at the call screen software, and I see Jeff in Joplin, Missouri. At least I know that. Bernie has no knowledge of what's going to be thrown at him every single week, and for 6 years, every single Friday, for a full hour, he has taken calls from people all over the world. And I know it's the complete antithesis of that other politician. So, to bring this back to the question about Barack Obama, I'm actually going to answer your question. My commitment is not to any particular politician. My commitment is to the truth. And in fact, it's not even to any political party. Those who listen regularly know that I'm a strong and enthusiastic supporter of the Green Party at the local level, and I encourage people to participate with the Green Party at the local level and to join the Democratic Party at the local level and take it over. I think that we can do both. But the Green Party has produced over almost 400 communities now that have instant runoff voting in the United States that the Democratic Party opposed. I think that there's room for all of that in there, and I encourage when rational Republicans call my office, Republicans of my father's variety, I beg them to show up at Republican Party functions and take back the Republican Party. But with regard to President Obama, when I think he's wrong, I say so, and when I think he's right, I say so, and I don't have a filter about, gee, this is going to help him, this is going to hurt him politically. I don't have that high an opinion of myself, frankly, that I think I'm going to have much effect on whether or not he's going to be successful or fail.
Tom, can I pick up on that? Because I think you touched on something.
You had the problem with the same senator I did.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention her name either. But I think you point out a key difference between the people you see sitting on the stage and the people you'll hear on the other side of the dial if you ever make a mistake and tune in to some of those assholes on the right, which is that we're willing to criticize members of our own party when they're wrong. You don't hear the lockstep support of somebody just because they happen to be a Democrat. And I think that's extremely important. And that one of our functions right now, today, when we are in power, is to support the Democrats where they're right, but to really hold their feet to the fire when they are not. I just want to give you one little example that I put up on my website, the names of 13 Democratic senators who had not come out for the public plan option. And we put it up there and asked people to go click on their names and send them, and they clicked on the name and the email went right to their own website. We got a call from every single one of those offices the next day saying, what the hell are you doing? And we said, well, are you for the public plan option or not? And they would say, well, we're not sure. Well, then your name stays up there, you know. And everyone asked us to take it down. But now, one of them happened to be Jeff Bingaman from New Mexico. Within 2 days, Jeff Bingaman came out with a statement and said, I support a public plan option.
Yeah. Well, you know, we had that.
And just to finish one, because I promised her I would say this tonight. Yesterday, I had Maria Cantwell on my show. And she was saying, I'm open to a public plan option. And I said, that's not good enough. And yesterday morning she said, I am absolutely for it, and if there's no public plan option, she's against health care reform. So it works. It works.
No, you know, I don't mean to claim more creds, but if you guys heard Jim Ward doing Harry Reid being anally violated by Republicans repeatedly, then you'll know that we will never book Harry Reid on my show. So we do criticize our own, but you know, it's interesting. We talked about, and I don't know, I just always like to make it about me, but we mentioned our own blue dog, Loretta Sanchez. And literally, like 2 days later, she said, I'm for the public plan. Yeah, she's a blue dog. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And we talked about, you know, it's a blue dog, and you really love her, but she's for the thing. And, you know, and literally a couple days later, you know, she came out for the public plan.
She's the sexiest blue dog I know.
Well.
My favorite joke about Harry Reid is that somebody needs to stand outside Schwarzenegger's governor's mansion on that first of the month when the box comes from Mexico with the steroids and grab that box, go to Washington, D.C., fill up a syringe, and when Harry's not looking, sneak up behind him
and stick it in his ass, I think is what you were going to say. But don't you wish that you were like Rush and that when Republicans said something bad, Democrats said something bad, they'd have to crawl back and beg for your forgiveness like they do with Rush? That is the most amazing thing, how many times somebody says something and then it's an accident, or I didn't mean it, or I take it back.
Thank God our party is not like that.
Yeah.
How spineless do you have to be to grovel for Rush Limbaugh? I mean, come on.
The list grows long, I got to tell you. Let's talk about economics a little bit.
He could probably give some drugs to Harry.
Little Viagra, maybe.
All right,
wrong drugs.
Arnold's taking steroids. His balls are like this big. Come on. And things of this nature.
Economics.
Quick! Great segue.
Let's, yes.
This is where you're going to lose Stephanie.
Yes. Speaking of tiny balls,
Listen,
let me ask you
Mama's
about
box of wine
economics.
is empty. Let's go with this shit.
Do you think the Democrats will ever have the spine to renegotiate free trade policies with China so we could bring back manufacturing and help spur innovation in this country and more union growth? There's probably a lot of other things that could change, too, by renegotiating trade policies, which were really a tool brought to us by the Clintons and continued through Bush. Is that also just one of those things that magically has been taken off the table? There's been some change in trade.
Well, it's been taken off the table because China literally owns the United States. Yep. And it's pretty hard when you have a country or any entity, in this case is China, that owns all the bad paper on the United States. What the hell are you going to do? All they have to do is start dumping that on the international market, and the dollar goes from whatever it is now down to zero. And I think the policymakers in this country understand it. The first Bush, Clinton, and the second Bush put us into this with that goddamn NAFTA.
Yeah.
And how to get, and globalization, the whole idea of globalization. And anyone who has any working knowledge on, seventh grade level about capitalism would have understood that it was not going to work because of the nature of capitalism. It always seeks, the one thing that it has to eliminate is the cost of labor. That's why slavery in this country was a perfect form of capitalism. There were no labor costs. So transferring all the jobs out of the country, which resulted in this huge deficit. We did all the buying and none of the manufacturing. We're screwed. I mean, I don't know how to resolve that with the Chinese.
Well, it's a funny thing about globalization, and I'm a little like Stephanie. I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to
well, no, I'm just kidding. No, really. I meant she was having
spoken yet.
No, she was.
implied the dummy on it.
I might just whip something out that.
No, she was having such a good time talking about Harry Reid's testes. That's all I meant.
It's true. But this whole globalization thing, again, I'm kind of naive about it, but if you notice, the globalization is always globalization of manufacturing, globalization of management. It's never globalization of labor standards and wage standards.
Yeah.
Somehow that falls through the cracks there.
Or
if we had
standards.
something like that, we wouldn't have to worry so much about jobs going overseas because the corporations wouldn't be saving money by sending them over there if there were global wage standards.
But, Mike, you said you think that the American policymakers understand the situation with China, and that's why that won't be renegotiated. But they don't yet seem to understand that that's not a path to take with other countries, because we continue to approve, up until the end of the Bush second term, approve other trade agreements around the world that have some of the similar problems. Now, they're not going to be China, and they're not going to hold our destiny like that.
Well, there's a two-level thing here. The Chinese have us in a very bad situation with the debt. The other countries that we continue to negotiate these one-sided trade deals with, don't forget, those deals are being negotiated not on behalf of the American people, but on the behalf of American corporations. And once again, we come right back to money the corruption that's in politics. As long as the people who are providing the money are the